In my last video, I heavily advocated against getting turtles as pets, specifically aquatic turtles. However, in this video, I'm going to give you my 5 turtles that I would absolutely love to own. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Zoe, but most people know me as the Reptiles. And for a little bit of background, if you didn't watch my last video where I give you the 5 reasons you don't want an aquatic turtle, I came from the zoo field. I worked as a zoo educator. I interned in zoos and aquariums that had specifically aquatic turtles and helped with them. And I was recently a naturalist and head of animal care at my local nature center, which is primarily aquatic turtles. So I've had a lot of time working with aquatic turtles. I've also done a lot of care consults for people with aquatic turtles. So I speak from experience when I say you do not want an aquatic turtle. However, if you think you might want one, I suggest going and watching my last video because we deep dive into that a little bit more. But in this video, I'm gonna be a little bit of a hypocrite. Just a little bit. And I'm going to give you the 5 turtle species that I actually would like to own. And starting off in number 1, because this one is no surprise to people, that's snapping turtles. I love snapping turtles, both common snapping turtles and alligator snapping turtles. Now, I live in New York State, so it is illegal to own common snapping turtles. So I actually have an alligator snapping turtle. Now he's still a baby, so he's very easy to take care of. He doesn't need a big setup yet. He doesn't need any crazy filtration yet. So in general, his care is very easy. However, it will become more laborsome as he gets bigger. Is that a word? Laborsome? It is now. You know what I meant. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because you guys already know how much I love snapping turtles. They're big. They're prehistoric looking. They are awesome. I love them to death. The snapping turtle at the nature center was my favorite. He was my boy. Loved him to death. And now I have Sploosh, my alligator snapping turtle. Also, these are in no particular order. I really like all of these turtles. So jumping into number 2. Number 2 is going to be the 𝘼𝘼𝘼𝘼. Again, looks super prehistoric, looks crazy. So it would be my exception to the no aquatic turtles rule that I have because they are just so cool. So 𝘼𝘼𝘼𝑚s are a fairly big turtle. They get about 1.5 feet. They're from the Amazon and they can weigh anywhere from about like 35, 38, 40 pounds depending on the turtle. Of course, everyone's going to be different, but that's about the average that I was finding. Now, why don't we see these very often? I don't know that they're being readily captive bred. I know there is some captive breeding. I just don't know how much. They're also very expensive. Primarily have a diet of live fish, so you need to have access to live feeder fish to be able to take care of them, and they're a little more sensitive to their water quality, similar to an alligator snapping turtle, but I would argue more sensitive. So they're not a super easy turtle to take care of, and they're also not a cheap turtle to get. So you really don't see them very often. This is only a turtle that I would ever get if I had an educational facility where I could have one on display. Number 3 on the list is a very similar situation to the 𝘼𝘼𝘼𝑚, and that's the fly river turtle. Now, my senior year of college, I interned with reptiles at my local zoo, and in like literally my last couple of days, they got in some new reptiles, including their fly river turtle. So I got to interact with him a time or two, and he was so cool. They are so cute. And I absolutely fell in love. So fly river turtles are those really cute turtles that are also known as pig nose turtles. So maybe you've heard of them being called that. They look like they have a little pig nose. They're adorable. They're from Australia and a couple surrounding areas, but Australia. They get about 2 foot long and weigh about 40 to 60 pounds. So they're a very hefty turtle. As you guys can tell, I've got a thing for big turtles. Now, where the 𝘼𝘼𝘼𝑚 doesn't need quite a big setup because they spend a lot of time hanging out down in the mucky bottoms. Fly river turtles are actively swimming around, so they need a very large space. They also cost a couple $1,000s, so clearly I also have a thing for expensive turtles. They're also, last I could find, still classified as an endangered species, so it is a little more hard to get your hands on them and going to be much more costly. So again, this is another one that I could only have if I had an education facility with the space to have one on display. They're also known for being a little more aggressive, The one we had at the zoo didn't seem very aggressive, and I've seen other ones that don't really seem that aggressive, but I have heard and read that they are a fairly aggressive species. Maybe it's just towards others or other animals in their setup. I don't know. I need to do more research. Alright, so now we're getting into our final two, and these are ones I have not mentioned, but also these two justify my I don't want aquatic turtles spiel that I've done in my last video saying you don't want an aquatic turtle. These two are awesome because they're not aquatic turtles. They are terrestrial or primarily terrestrial. So in number 4, we have the box turtle. Now, I've worked with an eastern box turtle and a three-toed box turtle, both very, very cool, very awesome, very easy to take care of because they're just like a mini tortoise. But on my list of ones that I want specifically, we have the ornate and the Chinese box turtle because their patterns are a little more pop. I really like how they look. I think they look super cool. So those would be the box turtles that would be on my list. The ornate and the Chinese box turtle. Like I said, I love box turtles because they're so easy to take care of, being like a mini tortoise. Still give them a nice area of water they can walk into, but nothing too deep. They're not going to be swimming, though there are some types of box turtles that do swim, but these are not one of them. So giving them a shallow pool they can walk into, kind of like wade around, but mostly substrate to dig in, rocks to climb on, cork bark to hide in. So they're just a super, super cool turtle, and a lot of times fairly interactive. And lastly, number 5 on this list, I'll be lucky if I ever own one, and that is the black-breasted leaf turtle. Now these are ones that I hadn't heard of very often until the last couple of years. Other YouTubers getting them and trying to breed them. I've seen a couple at zoos now, and I love these guys. They are, again, a primarily terrestrial turtle, so you don't need to have a tank full of water for them. They stay small. They only get about 5 inches in length, and they have the goofiest faces, which I think is my favorite part. They just have these big eyes on this little head, on this little body, and they are just adorable. And their shell looks super cool too. They're just an overall super awesome turtle. And last I knew, they weren't really being readily captive bred, but I know there are a lot of people working on breeding them now, so maybe they're a little more available now, or they will be here in the future, relatively soon. Don't quote me on that. I didn't look into that before this video. I probably should have. But they are an adorable, goofy little turtle that I would love to own one day. Alright, so those are my top 5 favorite turtle species that I would own or do own in the case of the snapping turtle. Do you have turtles that you really like? Let me know in the comments below, especially if they're terrestrial, because I love terrestrial turtles. And that's a wrap on this video. So thank you guys for watching. And as always, we'll see you for the next video.